In a once bustling city, now reduced to ruins, a lonely girl named Maya wandered through the empty streets. The buildings stood tall and silent, their windows shattered and walls covered in graffiti. The air was heavy with the smell of smoke and despair. Just a few months ago, this place had been alive with laughter and joy, but now it felt like a graveyard. Maya, a 16-year-old girl, had lost everything. Her family was gone, and her friends had either disappeared or been taken by the aliens that roamed the area. She was one of the few humans left, and every day felt like a struggle for survival. The once vibrant colors of her world had turned into shades of gray, and she felt trapped in a nightmare from which she could not awaken. Hiding in the shadows, Maya felt both terrified and alone. She had learned to stay quiet, to move carefully, and to avoid the aliens that searched for any signs of life. These aliens were fierce and powerful, showing no mercy to those they captured. Maya knew the stories. She had seen what happened to those who were caught. Each day she forced herself to be brave, but the fear gnawed at her like a hungry animal. Today was different, though. As Maya crept through the ruins, she found herself drawn to a small park. The playground swings hung still, and the slide stood alone in the center, a ghost of happier times. Memories flooded back of when she played here with her friends, their laughter echoing in her mind. She longed for those carefree days when she didn't have to worry about survival. Maya took a deep breath and stepped into the park. For a moment, she forgot about the danger that lurked outside. She remembered the games they played and the ice cream they shared. A small smile crept onto her face as she swung gently on the swings, feeling the breeze on her skin. But that happiness was short-lived. The sound of distant footsteps shattered her moment of peace. Her heart raced as she quickly looked around. She could hear the aliens approaching, their strange voices echoing through the empty streets. Panic surged through her. She needed to hide, to find a place where they wouldn't see her. Maya jumped off the swing and dashed behind a large, broken statue, her heart pounding in her chest. The aliens were not like anything she had ever seen. Tall and muscular, their skin was a shade of deep green, and they had sharp claws and glowing eyes. Maya held her breath, praying they wouldn't find her. She pressed her back against the cold stone, trying to make herself as small as possible. As the aliens came closer, she could hear their conversation. They spoke in a language she couldn't understand, but their tone was harsh and cruel. It made her shiver. She peered out from behind the statue, her eyes wide with fear. The aliens were searching for any signs of human life, and she knew she had to stay hidden. Just when she thought they would pass by, one of the aliens stopped and looked directly at her hiding spot. Maya's heart dropped. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The alien sniffed the air, its eyes narrowing as it began to walk towards her. This was it. She was going to be caught. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed through the park, distracting the alien. It turned its head, giving Maya a brief moment to escape. She bolted from her hiding place, sprinting through the park and into the nearest alleyway. The adrenaline coursed through her veins as she ran, fear driving her forward. As she reached the alley, she felt a wave of relief wash over her. But that relief was quickly replaced by despair. She was still all alone in a world that had forgotten her. Tears filled her eyes as she sank to the ground, feeling the weight of her loneliness pressing down on her. Maya wiped her tears away with the back of her hand. She was tired of being scared, tired of hiding, but deep inside she still held on to a flicker of hope. She dreamed of a day when she would be rescued, when someone would come to save her from this nightmare. Little did she know, help was on its way, and her life was about to change forever. As Maya crouched in the alley, her heart raced. She was still shaken by the near encounter with the aliens, but she was also tired. Her body ached from running, and her mind was clouded with fear and loneliness. She closed her eyes, hoping for a moment of peace in a world that felt so chaotic. But peace was a luxury she couldn't afford. Just as she was about to stand up, she heard something. It was not the sound of the aliens' heavy footsteps or their harsh voices. Instead, it was a low, rumbling growl. Curiosity piqued. Maya opened her eyes and peeked around the corner of the alley. She saw a large figure moving among the debris. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. The creature was enormous, with powerful muscles and dark, shiny skin. Its eyes glowed like bright emeralds in the dim light, and its sharp teeth were bared in a low growl. It moved with a grace that seemed impossible for its size. Maya felt a mix of fear and fascination. Was this creature another alien or something different? Maya watched as the creature sniffed the air, its nostrils flaring. It seemed to be searching for something, but she couldn't tell what. Holding her breath, she stayed hidden, not wanting to attract its attention. But the creature suddenly turned and stared directly at her. For a brief moment, they locked eyes. Maya felt a chill run down her spine, yet something about the creature's gaze intrigued her. It wasn't filled with malice like the other aliens. There was a raw power and intelligence in its eyes. Despite her fear, she felt a strange sense of connection. The creature approached slowly, carefully stepping over the rubble. Maya could see its muscles flexing under its skin, and it looked as if it belonged to a different world altogether. It moved closer, and Maya's heart raced with both excitement and fear. What did it want? Was it a friend or a foe? As the creature got nearer, Maya saw a strange mark on its arm, a symbol that seemed familiar yet distant. It was like nothing she had seen on the other aliens. The creature stopped just a few feet away, its eyes studying her with an intensity that made her shiver. Maya was terrified, but somehow felt drawn to it. She realized that this creature was not like the others. There was a primal strength about it, a wildness that was both intimidating and comforting. She had been waiting for help, and maybe this was it. "Please," she whispered, though she wasn't sure if it could understand her. "I need help." The creature tilted its head as if trying to comprehend her words. For a moment, there was silence between them, and then something surprising happened. The creature let out a low, rumbling sound, almost like a growl, but with a hint of curiosity. It stepped closer, lowering its head to Maya's level. Maya felt a surge of hope. Could this creature really help her? She took a tentative step forward, her heart pounding in her chest. "Are you going to hurt me?" she asked, her voice trembling. The creature paused, its glowing eyes narrowing. Then, with a swift motion, it reached out a massive hand, brushing against her arm. The touch was surprisingly gentle. Maya gasped, feeling a strange warmth spread through her. It was as if the creature understood her fear and wanted to reassure her. Suddenly, the sounds of the other aliens echoed through the streets again. The creature's demeanor changed instantly. It straightened up and its eyes flashed with urgency. Maya realized that time was running out. If the other aliens found her, they would surely capture her. Without thinking, she made a decision. "I need to get out of here," she said, looking up at the creature. "Will you help me?" The creature seemed to understand. It nodded once, and in that moment Maya felt a bond forming between them. This was no ordinary alien, this was a protector. With renewed hope, she followed the creature as it led her through the twisting alleys of the ruined city. As they moved, Maya felt a surge of adrenaline. She was no longer alone, she had a companion. Together, they darted past the shadows, dodging debris and staying hidden from the approaching aliens. The creature moved with agility and confidence, leading her to safety. For the first time since the attacks began, Maya felt a sense of excitement and hope. Maybe this strange alien, this primal being, was her chance for survival. Little did she know that this meeting would change her life forever. As Maya and the creature dashed through the twisted alleys of the city, a sense of excitement and fear mixed within her. The alien led her through a series of hidden paths, away from the noise of the other aliens searching for her. Each turn they took seemed to pull her further into a world unknown. Yet she felt safe with her new companion by her side. They finally reached a small abandoned building. Its walls were crumbling, and the roof had partially collapsed, but it looked like a secure hideout. The creature stopped and turned to Maya, its bright emerald eyes watching her closely. She could sense its concern and determination. "Thank you for saving me," Maya whispered, her heart racing from the adventure they had just shared. She felt a bond forming between them, a connection that transcended words. The creature tilted its head, as if trying to understand her gratitude. It growled softly, a sound that felt warm and protective. Maya smiled, feeling a wave of comfort wash over her. This creature was more than just an alien, it was a friend. Days turned into weeks as Maya and the creature, whom she decided to call Kale, grew closer. They spent their days exploring the ruins, finding hidden spots where they could play and relax. Kale showed Maya how to find food and water, teaching her how to survive in a world that had become so dangerous. Maya learned quickly. She was amazed by Kale's strength and agility. He could climb walls with ease and jump across gaps that seemed impossible. Watching him move, she felt a thrill of joy. Kale was not only a protector, but also a teacher. He showed her how to navigate the rubble and avoid the watchful eyes of the other aliens. One day, as they explored a forgotten part of the city, Maya stumbled upon an old playground. The swings were rusted, and the slides were covered in dust, but she felt a spark of nostalgia. "I used to love this place," she said, her eyes shining with memories of laughter and joy. Kale watched her, tilting his head in curiosity. Then, to Maya's surprise, he picked up a small rock and threw it towards the swing set. The rock hit the swing, causing it to sway back and forth. Maya laughed, her heart lifting. "You want to play?" she asked, excitement bubbling inside her. Kale responded with a series of happy growls, bounding over to the swings. Maya climbed onto one swing and started to push herself. Kale joined her, standing beside the swing and giving her gentle pushes with his massive hands. As Maya soared higher, she felt a sense of freedom she hadn't experienced in a long time. "Higher!" she shouted, laughing as she flew through the air. Kyle grinned, his sharp teeth showing in what looked like a smile. He pushed her higher, and for a moment they were just two friends enjoying a beautiful day, free from worry. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Maya hopped off the swing and sat down next to Kale on the ground. They watched the colors change in the sky, and Maya felt a warmth in her heart. "Thank you for being my friend," she said softly, looking at him. Kale turned to her, his eyes shining with understanding. He leaned closer, resting his massive head beside her. Maya felt a wave of joy wash over her. This was her family now. They might be different, but they had found each other in the darkest of times. Together, they faced each day with new strength. Maya learned more about Kale's world, and he learned about hers. They shared stories in their own way, mixing gestures with sounds. Maya told him about her life before the invasion, about her family and friends, and Kyle shared moments of his own, expressing feelings and experiences through growls and movements. The bond they formed was unbreakable. They relied on each other, and each day was a new adventure filled with laughter and challenges. Maya had found a purpose in her life again, a reason to keep moving forward. As the days passed, Maya felt a spark of hope for the future. With Kale by her side, she knew they could survive anything. Together they were stronger, and together they would face whatever came next in this strange new world. Maya and Kale had settled into a routine. They explored the abandoned city, played in the ruins, and learned from each other. But one day everything changed. As they wandered through the remnants of an old shopping mall, Maya noticed a heavy silence hanging in the air. She glanced at Kale, who had stopped, his eyes scanning their surroundings with alertness. "Something feels off," Maya whispered, her heart racing. Kale nodded, his body tense as he moved closer to her. Suddenly, the quiet was shattered by loud voices. Maya recognized them immediately, the harsh tones of the other aliens. Panic surged through her. They were back. "Maya! We need to hide!" Kale urged, looking around frantically. They ducked behind a broken display, their hearts pounding in sync. Maya could see a group of aliens entering the mall, their eyes scanning for any signs of life. The aliens were different from Kyle. They were rougher, their bodies covered in armor that gleamed in the dim light. They had come for her, and she knew they would not stop until they found her. "Where is she?" one of the aliens shouted, his voice echoing through the empty space. "She can't have gone far. Search every corner." Maya held her breath, wishing she could disappear. Kale growled softly beside her, a sound that sent chills down her spine. He was ready to fight if they found them, but she could see the fear in his eyes. They had to act quickly. "Listen to me, Kale," Maya said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We can't let them take me. I won't go back. We have to find a way out." Kale looked at her, his expression fierce. He understood. Together they would face this threat. They carefully made their way toward the back of the mall, avoiding the aliens as best as they could. But as they turned a corner, they were suddenly surrounded. "Gotcha!" an alien shouted, pointing at them with a blaster. Maya's heart sank. They were trapped. Kale stepped forward, growling defiantly. His massive frame loomed over Maya, ready to protect her at any cost. The aliens laughed, thinking they had won. But Maya saw something different in Kale's eyes, a spark of determination. "Back off!" Kale roared, his voice booming. Maya felt a rush of courage wash over her. This was it. They had to fight. With a swift motion, Kale lunged forward, his powerful hands swinging. He knocked the nearest alien to the ground with a single blow. Maya watched in awe as he fought with a primal instinct, each move calculated and powerful. The other aliens hesitated, surprised by the strength of the creature they had underestimated. "Let's get her!" another alien yelled, and the group surged forward. Maya felt fear claw at her throat, but she knew she couldn't just stand there. She picked up a broken piece of metal from the ground, her heart racing. "Kale, I'm with you!" she shouted, rushing to his side. Together, they formed a barrier against the attacking aliens. The fight was chaotic. Kale used his size and strength to take down one alien after another, while Maya dodged and weaved, using her makeshift weapon to strike when she could. She felt the adrenaline surging through her, each heartbeat fueling her resolve. But there were too many of them. One alien managed to grab her arm, pulling her backward. "Got ya!" It snarled, a wicked grin spreading across its face. "No!" Kale roared, turning just in time to see Maya being pulled away. He charged toward her, his eyes filled with fury. In a split second, he tackled the alien, sending it crashing to the ground. Maya broke free, panting heavily. She rushed back to Kale's side, heart racing as they faced the remaining aliens together. The atmosphere was charged with tension, each side waiting for the other to make a move. "We can't give up!" Maya shouted, lifting her weapon defiantly. Kale nodded, his fierce gaze unwavering. Together, they were a force to be reckoned with. With a final burst of energy, they charged at the remaining aliens. Kale swung his massive fists, while Maya struck with her makeshift weapon, their movements in perfect sync. The aliens faltered under their combined strength, and one by one they began to retreat. Finally, the last alien turned to run, fear evident in its eyes. Maya and Kale stood side by side, panting heavily but victorious. They had fought against the odds and won. "We did it," Maya gasped, looking at Kale in disbelief. Kale let out a victorious roar, a sound that echoed through the mall. In that moment, they knew they were more than just allies, they were a team. Together, they could face anything. As they caught their breath, Maya felt a deep sense of gratitude for Kale. He had saved her life once again, and she knew their bond was stronger than ever. But this fight was only the beginning. More challenges awaited them, and they would face them together. After the fierce battle in the abandoned mall, Maya and Kale took a moment to catch their breath. They stood together, their hearts still racing, but they felt a new sense of strength. They had faced danger and come out on top, but they both knew this was not the end. More challenges awaited them, and they needed to keep moving. "Maya, we must leave this place," Kale said, his voice low but urgent. "They will come back. We need to find a safer place." Maya nodded, her mind racing. "Where should we go?" she asked, looking into the deep green of Kale's eyes. "There is a hidden valley far from here," Kale explained. "It is not easy to reach, but it is safe. I have seen it from a distance. We can live there and stay hidden until we figure out our next steps." Maya felt a spark of hope ignite within her. A hidden valley sounded like a perfect refuge. "Let's go," she said, determination filling her voice. "I'm ready for a new journey." The two set off into the unknown, their hearts light with the thrill of adventure. They navigated through the maze of crumbling buildings and abandoned streets. As they walked, Maya noticed the beauty of the world around them. Nature was reclaiming the city, flowers peeked through cracks in the pavement, and vines twisted around rusted metal. "Look at that!" Maya exclaimed, pointing at a burst of colorful flowers growing beside a broken wall. Kale paused, watching her with curiosity. "They are beautiful," he agreed, his voice filled with wonder. "Just like you," Maya teased, her smile brightening the gloomy atmosphere. Kale tilted his head, not quite understanding the compliment, but he made a deep rumbling sound that Maya took as his version of a laugh. As they continued their journey, they faced obstacles together. They crossed a narrow bridge that looked too fragile to hold their weight. Kale went first, carefully testing each plank before motioning for Maya to follow. She took a deep breath and stepped onto the bridge. The wood creaked beneath her, but she focused on Kale's steady presence ahead. "You can do this, Maya," Kale encouraged, glancing back at her. With his support, she found the courage to push forward. They crossed the bridge together, feeling a wave of relief wash over them when they reached the other side. After a long day of traveling, they finally reached the hidden valley as the sun began to set. The valley was breathtaking, surrounded by towering mountains and lush greenery. A clear stream flowed through it, sparkling in the fading light. Maya's heart soared at the sight. "This place is amazing," she said, spinning around in awe. Kale smiled, pleased with her reaction. "It is our new home," he said, looking around. "We can live here, away from danger." They quickly set to work creating a comfortable space. They found a cave at the edge of the valley that provided shelter and gathered leaves and branches to make a cozy bed. Kale showed Maya how to collect water from the stream and find food in the nearby forest. They laughed and joked as they worked, their bond growing stronger with each shared moment. As night fell, they sat outside their cave, gazing up at the stars that filled the sky. Maya had never seen so many stars before. It was as if the universe was putting on a show just for them. "Look at that one!" Maya pointed excitedly. "It's so bright." Kale watched her with interest. "What is a star?" he asked. Maya smiled, happy to share. "They are lights in the sky. They guide travelers and tell stories." Kale listened closely, intrigued by her words. "What stories do they tell?" Maya thought for a moment. "They tell us about hope and dreams," she replied. "Each star can represent a wish." Kale tilted his head, processing her words. "Then we will make wishes," he said. "I wish for safety and happiness." "I wish for adventure and friendship," Maya added, her heart swelling with gratitude for the bond they had forged. They sat in silence, feeling the weight of their wishes hanging in the air. In that moment, they knew they had chosen each other, and together they could face whatever the future held. As they prepared for bed, Maya felt a sense of peace wash over her. They had found a new home, a new beginning. Together, they would navigate the unknown, face challenges head-on, and embrace the journey ahead. With Kale by her side, Maya felt ready for anything. Their adventure was just beginning, and she knew that together they could conquer the world.